Hi, my name is Antonio Hunt.
Hi, my name is Londa Irvin.
Hi, my name is Valerie Hall.
Hi, my name is Belinda Murray.
Hello everyone, I am NaTavia Hunt, and I'm going to do a speech on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is one of the most popular holidays that we celebrate as the American people. But what is Thanksgiving, and why do we celebrate it? Are these questions that most Americans can answer? I don't believe so. The average American probably only knows a few facts about Thanksgiving, such as it always falls on the fourth Thursday in November, and that it's a holiday that the Pilgrims created. While most of us have developed our rituals, such as watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, volunteering to feed the homeless, or going around the dinner table to say what we are thankful for, we probably don't know the full history of why we're celebrating. So let me give you some insight on this wonderful holiday, so this year, as you're indulging in the festivities with full knowledge, you'll have the full knowledge of knowing why you're celebrating in the first place. In 1620, the Mayflower left Plymouth, England, carrying 102 passengers. Amongst these passengers were an assortment of religious separatists seeking a new home where they can freely practice their faith, hence the name Pilgrims. A small few others accompanied them as they were lured by the promise of prosperity and a new land in the New World. Their intended destination was originally the Hudson River, but they didn't reach this destination due to harmful weather conditions. They first arrived in Cape Cod, Massachusetts after 66 days of traveling. A month later, the Pilgrims ended up crossing the Massachusetts Bay. They then began working to establish their village at Plymouth, Massachusetts. During their first weather, they experienced some pretty harsh weather conditions as well, and they suffered from many outbreaks of diseases due to being in an unfamiliar land, and they also were very malnourished. Only about half of the original crew survived until the spring. In March of 1620, they were met by a group of Indians who taught them how to cultivate corn, extract sap from the maple trees, catch fish in the rivers, and to avoid poisonous plants. They also helped the Pilgrims forge an alliance with the Wampanoag tribe, who would later share in the first Thanksgiving feast with them. In November of that same year, after the Pilgrims experienced their first corn harvest, they felt that a celebration was in order. This feast lasted 3 days. This celebration became known as the first Thanksgiving. The second Thanksgiving wasn't celebrated until 1623, after the end of a long drought. Their elected governor, Bradford, called for a religious fast after this. From that point forward, days of fasting and Thanksgiving on an annual or occasional basis became a common practice in other New England establishments. During the American Revolution, the Continental Congress designated one or more days of Thanksgiving a year, and in 1789, George Washington issued the first Thanksgiving proclamation by the government of the U.S. In 1817, New York became the first of several states to adopt an annual Thanksgiving holiday, and at this time, only the northern states celebrated. It wasn't until 10 years later, in 1827, Sarah Josepha Hale, who was commonly known for creating the nursery rhyme Mary Had a Little Lamb, she launched a campaign to establish Thanksgiving as a national holiday. And she fought for this for 36 years by publishing editorials and sending letters to governors, senators, presidents, and other politicians. It wasn't until 1863 when Abraham Lincoln finally granted her request during the Civil War in a proclamation urging all Americans to ask God to commend his tender care of all those who became widows and orphans during the war and to heal the wounds of the nation. He scheduled Thanksgiving for the final Thursday in November, and it was celebrated on that day every year until 1939. Franklin D. Roosevelt moved the holiday up a week in an attempt to boost retail sales during the Great Depression. Roosevelt's decision to change the date caused great controversy, so in 1941, he signed a bill remaking Thanksgiving the fourth Thursday in November. So as you celebrate this holiday with your family this year, think about the Pilgrims as you celebrate and give thanks.
I would like to know, did the Pilgrims ever receive their prosperity?
Yes, that's why they started to give thanks, because they got the harvest that they were looking for.
How do you celebrate Thanksgiving?
How do I celebrate Thanksgiving? My family has started a tradition where we do Thanksgiving breakfast every morning, and then I go over to my mom's house or my husband's family house to celebrate Thanksgiving with the family.
What famous dish do you cook?
Macaroni and cheese.
Do you have a big family?
Yes, I do have a big family.
And everyone comes to your Your parents' house and celebrate.
Yes.
Do you know the date that they wanted to change Thanksgiving Day to?
He just moved it up a week. Franklin Roosevelt moved it up a week to, I guess, make more sales during the Great Depression, but they eventually changed it back.